Happy Friday to you, and welcome to the Drew Andre Sims Humble Abode. Pick your sport, and we'll probably have it covered for you today on Cronkite Sports Live.
Absolutely. We've got a jam-packed show, the final Drew Andre Sims show of the semester. We're prepared to wrap up our time here behind the anchor desk, but there are no time for tears now. Let's get right to it. ASU softball took on perhaps their toughest challenge of the season this past weekend. The team played a 3-game series against number 3 Oregon, losing 2 of 3. Game 1 saw the Sun Devils shut out 5-0. In Game 2, the Maroon and Gold fell 9-1. G. Juarez stopped the skid in Game 3, pitching her NCAA leading 10th shutout of the season, striking out 7. For more on the past weekend and the upcoming Territorial Cup Series, we bring in WCSN softball analyst CJ Chairez. And CJ, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Andre. It's a pleasure to be on as always.
No problem. Now, I just mentioned the Devils lost their first series of the season. Now, do you think this is more of an isolated incident or something that could spell long-term trouble?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more of a hiccup in the schedule rather than a long-term thing. This Oregon softball team, is number 3 in the nation for a reason. They're 5th in the nation in slugging percentage. They rank 3rd for home runs per game. They're 4th in ERA, and they're 1st in strikeout to walk ratio. They've walked only 46 batters this year and have struck out 358 of them. I mean, to be ranked that high in both hitting and pitching categories, that's absurd. Not too many teams in the nation can say they have that. So just ending the series on a win, I think is bigger than anything. So it should not have any long-term effects on this ASU softball team as far as winning down the road.
Yeah, definitely some gaudy numbers there from the Oregon Ducks. Now, games 1 and 2, not great for ASU, only 1 run between the two. But in Game 3, they bounced back, took the W. What was the difference there?
I think the biggest difference is that the ASU, the hitters, they finally figured out the pitching staff. I mean, Oregon, they fell into an early deficit in that last game. They threw 3 different pitchers at that ASU softball team, and the hitters managed to get at least 1 run on all 3 of them. I mean, it also helps when you have Jade Cortades, the shortstop, having a game that she did. She played fantastic, finished 3 for 3 at the plate. She fell 1 single shy of the cycle. And G. Juarez. I mean, when G. Juarez is on her game, ASU is not going to lose that many softball games. She threw a gem. She only gave up 3 hits and pitched a complete shutout against an Oregon team that put up 9 runs on them the game before. So that's a winning formula for softball for this ASU team. You can't get much better than that. Yeah,
G. Juarez, definitely a stud. That's definitely an understatement there, too. So looking ahead now, University of Arizona comes to Tempe this weekend for the Territorial Cup Series. Who are a couple of players on that team that you're highlighting?
Some players that I have my eye on, I'll start with a couple of sophomores, and the first one is going to be shortstop Jessie Harper. She leads the Arizona Wildcats in doubles, triples, and RBI, and ranks 2nd in batting average, home runs, and hits. Might be thinking who's first in those categories, and that will be the second sophomore I got my eye on. That's first baseman Alyssa Palomino. She, in addition to being 1st in batting average, home runs, and hits, she leads the team in slugging percentage. She hit a home run in both games against New Mexico State this past week. Another player I'll throw into the conversation, who also happens to be another sophomore, that's catcher Deja Mulipaula. She's 3rd on the team in home runs. She's the 3rd player to have double-digit home runs in the season behind Harper and Palomino, of course. And those 3 are, I think, really big keys to this Arizona offense. They're number 1 in the nation for home runs per game for a reason. And these 3 batters, really big bats, are a big part of that reason.
Definitely a tough challenge for the ASU softball pitching staff coming up. We'll see if they're up to the task. For more of CJ's excellent work, check out that softball tab on cronkitesports.com. But the softball coverage doesn't stop here. With an even more comprehensive look at the Arizona series, here's the rest of our WCSN softball coverage team in this week's CSL Conversation.
I think the most important position player is going to be Kendra Hackbarth. She's the leadoff hitter for the team. She has the 2nd highest batting average and leads the team with hits. I think it's crucial for her to set the table for Howe and Gibson in the heart of the order and score quick and often against Arizona's pitching staff.
Shortstop Jade Cortades, she's been great defensively between 2nd and 3rd, and they're going to need her there to continue to make athletic plays. And she's also been really good at the plate, helping them pick up that win against Oregon last weekend. So I think her play is going to be decisive in the series.
Marissa Stankiewicz, who's at 2nd base. It's extremely important that she doesn't have any errors this weekend, and being a leader on the team, a 5th-year senior, she will bring that leadership to the program and will help pull out wins this weekend.
I think the most important position player for ASU this weekend would be Danielle Gibson. She's the most home runs on the team, has the highest batting average. If she's able to be successful against U of A pitching, she'll be able to further ASU and have a better chance to win this weekend.
I think they really need to focus on limiting errors. In a lot of their Pac-12 losses, they've been upwards of 2, 3, 4 errors. But if they can limit those defensive mistakes, I think they've got a really good shot at winning the series.
I think that the Sun Devils are going to have to control the firepower from the Arizona's Wildcats bats. They have two of the top home run leaders in the Pac-12 in Alyssa Palomino and Jessie Harper, and they have to limit the damage that they provide for their team.
I think ASU needs to focus on their pitching staff. G. Juarez has been spectacular this season, but Brianna Maha and Dale Rindack need to step up their game if ASU wants to be successful this weekend.
I think what they need to think about is within themselves. Don't worry about what everyone nationally is saying about their team. And, you know, U of A has had a slump, but they can't think about that. They just need to think about playing their game.
ASU is going to take the series 2-1. Arizona, they've been struggling a little bit, but they're playing their rival. I think they're going to come out really hungry for a win and take a game. But overall, I think ASU has the advantage of playing on its home field, and they've looked like a more stable team over the last couple of weeks.
I think that ASU will sweep U of A. However, I think the first game will be pretty tight compared to the other two on Saturday and Sunday.
So I think the Sun Devils take 2 of 3 this weekend. I think they lose against maybe the Saturday matchup. They win the first game, win the third game.
This is going to be a very close series between ASU and U of A. Even though Arizona State hasn't won since 2015, I believe that the Sun Devils will be able to take the series, win 2 out of 3, and bring the Territorial Cup back to Tempe.
Spring football is a wrap, but we did get a good sense of what's to come in the first year of the Herm Edwards era. It could mean a very different look than last year. WCSN football reporter Chris Gleason is here to dig into the potential depth chart for ASU football.
With the team not officially practicing again until August, let's take an early look at how the depth chart is shaping up. We'll start on offense, where Manny Wilkins will be at quarterback alongside N'Keal Harry and Kyle Williams at wideout. In the backfield, I like Tracy Smith. I think he's emerged as the candidate to start. But four-star running back Eno Benjamin certainly will have a say about that once he regains his health. Also, Tommy Hudson has emerged as the expected starter at tight end, but CJ French-Love, the guy who caught that 4th down pass to seal the upset victory over Washington last season, is definitely going to see the field as well. Now, looking at the defense, the defensive line probably has the most depth of any position, with transfer Darius Slade as well as Rennell Wren and Jalen Bates all looking like starters at the moment. Pass rusher Karan Crump will definitely be on the field for pass rushing downs as well. Now, working our way to the linebackers, Malik Lawal is a lock for me, and I think Kalen Thomas and Merlin Robinson will start alongside him. But then you, of course, have to account for the Tillman position, that defensive linebacker hybrid that the Sun Devils like to utilize. When Crump, or that 4th pass rusher, is off the field, I'd expect to see Evan Fields in at that position. The defensive backs, I think, will be Chase Lucas and Kobe Williams. Lucas was injured in the spring, but proved himself as a freshman. Joey Bryant, who tore his ACL after starting last season, and then Taron Adams, who played first team in the spring, will also be looking for playing time. Then at safety, Dausman Tautilatasi, as well as freshman Ashari Crosswell, the number 6 safety in this year's class, is who I expect to be starting there. But this position is very up for grabs, as Langston Frederick and Jalen Harvey were the first-team safeties this spring and played well enough to make a case for playing time. Guys, back to you at the desk.
It's been a rocky season for Tracy Smith and company. Skip's men have dropped 6 in a row and look to break the streak against the Utah Utes, who currently sit last in the Pac-12. Here's what Tracy Smith had to say this week at practice.
There's a lot of baseball left to play. Our focus is, we got to get one day better. We've got to solve those. We've got to solve those issues on the mound, and some of it is out of our control in terms of injury. Some of it is just, for whatever reason, guys not performing well, and so we got to solve the problem. There's a problem, you got to solve it. But I certainly like some of the things that we're seeing. There's some good stories of some of the individual performances, but it has to come together as a team. His situation's been unique with his injury coming back. We had suspended him indefinitely for some violation of team standard things, and then most recently we've kind of and mutually have come to the conclusion, and both parties, I think in good faith, because I think Zane's a good kid or whatever, but we're going to decide to part ways at this time and root for him and hope that he can hopefully continue his education or even his baseball career at another place, but it's not going to be here. But he's, and it's disappointing for him. It's disappointing for us. But we're going to try to help that young man and do whatever we can, because we missed him last year. We missed him this year. But sometimes that happens in sports. But no, we will not be. Zane will not be back with Arizona State. We set the bar too high, but when we're playing 5 to 7 freshmen a night, maybe we set it a little high. But it's been a combination of just some unfortunate injuries, a little bit of youth, but it's here, and everybody feels good about that. From those who know, no, I'm not worried about it. The thing is, you're worried about losing your job. That's not even a concern. So we feel good about the direction we're going with these guys. They know, they see it. It's funny when you hear comments of teams that you play, the coaches are like, God darn, you guys are going to be really, but you don't want to hear that when you're losing. But we're going to keep moving forward. It's exactly our plan, and what we set out to do is the process that we've outlined 4 years ago, and we're going to continue to do that.
2 years ago, the Arizona State men's golf program went through a monumental shift. They said goodbye to graduating senior John Rahm and also lost its head coach Tim Mickelson. The drop-off seemed inevitable, but here we are in 2018, and the Sun Devils have already won 2 tournaments in the spring season alone. This past weekend, it was on their home turf that Matt Thurman's squad took down the field at the Thunderbird Invitational. And the competition was stiff. Arizona State slid by last year's national champions Oklahoma and current #1 team in the country, Oklahoma State. It's the 2nd straight year ASU has taken the trophy in their home event. Sophomores Blake Wagner and Chunan Yu finished in the top 10 in individual competition. And that's what makes this team scary. They are led by that core of underclassmen. Next stop for ASU golf is the Pac-12 Championships beginning Monday in Southern California.
Kyra Leonard Baker competed at the NCAA semifinals this afternoon in St. Louis, Missouri. She rotated with the UCLA Bruins as an all-around gymnast, scoring a 38.8875. Her highest individual event score was a 9.8125 on her bar routine, but the freshman stepped out of bounds in her final tumbling pass of her floor routine, which resulted in a 9.5375. Her historic freshman campaign comes to an end after earning the Sun Devils' first individual gymnastics postseason berth since 2016.
A brand new program in year 1 is almost in the books for the ASU men's tennis team, and they wouldn't have nearly the success that came their way if it wasn't for their lone senior, Mikhail Geertz. He discussed last weekend's loss to UCLA and USC with WCSN reporter Mason Kern.
Welcome into WCSN's continuing coverage of Arizona State men's tennis. I'm Mason Kern here with ASU senior captain Mikhail Geertz. It was a tough weekend. Obviously, you took on 2 of the best teams in the country and in your conference in UCLA and USC. What did you kind of take away from this weekend as you kind of look towards the rest of the season?
We came into the matches with knowing that they are really good teams. UCLA #2 at the moment, USC, always a top 10 team. And we knew that their lineup was really strong. But we came out with a clear plan, and we really tried to execute. Unfortunately, we couldn't. But I think this team has a potential to beat those teams. I just think we need some more experience in actually playing those guys. As today maybe we lost 4-1, but I think on a lot of courts the matches were really tight. It was maybe a few points that was the difference, and we just really need to look at the tape and everything and try to take this experience to the Pac-12s and the NCAAs if we play those teams again.
Now, specifically for you, UCLA kind of featured the #1 collegiate tennis player in the country in Martin Redlicki, and you came out and won that match. So what was that experience like, having come out and beat the #1 player in the country?
Yeah, it was of course a nice experience and a great win. I came here to college to really try to do some damage, to be honest, and having such a great win in front of the home crowd. It was under the lights too. It was a great feeling. At the end we end up losing, so it was a mixed feeling, I have to say. Yeah, of course, for also the NCAA individuals, it was an important win for me. Played also really good doubles that day, and happy I could win that match, but unfortunately we ended up losing.
Now, you mentioned the doubles, and you guys have kind of been tinkering with your doubles pairings throughout the entire season, and then you come out and beat UCLA, clinch the doubles point there, fall to USC today. What's been working, and what are you guys kind of trying to improve on?
You know, I think every match is getting better, I think, but there are a few things that we individually need to work on, as well for me, which is kind of like the net play as well as my the guy that I'm playing with, just from the back he needs to get a little bit more stable, I think, but at the end, we're a good team, as we said, we can beat some good teams like UCLA, but I think it's more important to be more consistent and, towards the Pac-12 and the NCAAs, I think that's something we can definitely work on.
And then lastly, Mikhail, so obviously being the lone senior on this ASU team, what kind of legacy are you trying to leave and kind of teach the other guys coming up after you?
I'm just trying to do my best every day, every practice, every match I come out, I try to really play with passion and, trying to, reinstate the new ASU program. It's really important for the community here, I think, and, last few home matches, the crowd gets really excited, and, also for the staff, I'm really trying to do my best, and, I'm pretty sure that in the next few years it will be a really good program with, really nice circumstances and everything, in great weather too. So hopefully the crowd still comes out, and I'm 100% sure that the guys will do great in the next few years.
Well, once again, thank you so much, Mikhail. That was Mikhail Gertz. Once again, I'm Mason Kern. Check out the rest of our content at cronkitesports.com.
All right, so ASU comes into the Territorial Cup coming off of 2 losses this past weekend against highly ranked teams. We welcome in WCSN tennis reporter Jesse Morrison to elaborate more. Where did ASU's struggles stem from?
Well, it was really just a talent thing. So UCLA and USC are both top 20 teams in the nation. And ASU, while they're good, they are not at the level of UCLA and USC right now. ASU played well, but they fell just because of the talent.
All right, so looking now onto the Territorial Cup on Saturday, what does ASU have to do to combat the Wildcats?
They really just need to stay focused in this match. There's going to be a huge crowd there. It's going to be the biggest crowd of the season. And they really also just need to not focus on the Pac-12 tournament, which is coming up next week. It's a big tournament next week, and they just really need to not think about that and stay focused on the match at hand, because U of A is not one of the best teams in the Pac-12. They are last currently right now and are 0-7 in the conference.
You mentioned the Pac-12 tournament, which obviously is going to be a big impact to the season for them. Do you think ASU has a shot at maybe making a run?
Of course. ASU has played really well against Stanford this year, and they have also played really well against UCLA, both top 5 teams in the country, and I really think that ASU can definitely make a run since they played so well against those 2 teams.
All right, he's Jesse Morrison. You can follow the latest from ASU men's tennis on cronkitesports.com.
Here at Cronkite Sports Live, we really try and hit any and all sports here at Arizona State. We've talked about everything from soccer to softball and everything in between. But this week, we touch on a sport seldom seen on this show. Our own Scotty Gange went out to the Para Club to recap the ASU beach volleyball team's match against the University of Arizona.
Territorial Cup time, round 2 here in Tempe, as the Beach Devils and the number 14 ranked Arizona Wildcats battled it off Wednesday night in a best-of-5 meet. As it all started with the Sun Devil number 4 unit of Sierra Flood and Katie Cross taking it to the Cats duo of Caroline Cords and McKenna Martin, sending them out of town in straight sets, giving ASU a 1-0 lead. But folks, as this was going down on Court 1, it was the matchup on Court 2 that seemed to grab the attention from all of those at the Para Club, including that from the 942 crew, faithful Arizona State fans. And catch this, after losing their first set, Sam Plaster and Kate Baldwin were able to claw their way back into a winner-take-all third set. And, well, I'll let you figure this one out on your own. Now, despite the early heroics by ASU, the top units for the Wildcats were able to scratch out 3 victories, giving them an overall dub by a final score of 3-2. But the fan support at the Para Club tonight was seen as a moral victory for this fairly new Sun Devil program.
The student section helped so much. Like, whenever it was third set and they started cheering for us, it felt like I would like pass the free ball, but they would hype me up so much. So it was like hopeful.
Following tonight's loss, head coach Brad Keenan said the biggest thing the Sun Devils needed to work on was consistency at the net.
No, I mean, we just have to be consistent. When we're consistent, you know, we do well. When we're not, we get killed. So that's the thing, consistency.
Tonight's loss moves the Sun Devils to 10-18 on the season, as they will have just over a week to prepare for the Pac-12 championships in Palo Alto. But until then, reporting from the Para Club in Tempe, Scotty Gange, Cronkite Sports.
Scotty Gange, jack of all trades really for Cronkite Sports Live, does it all. He's usually joining us here on this segment, Sun Devil Social Media. In his place, though, we have Cronkite Sports Live executive producer Troy Tauscher. You're stepping from the other side, joining us on camera today. What have you got for us?
Well, I am, guys, and first of all, I got to say that was maybe the best stand-up we've ever had in the history of the show, so I'm going to aim to make this the best social media segment in the history of the show, and I'm going to start it off with probably the best team running the school right now, ASU softball. We've talked a lot about how they're a pretty close team. You see Kendra Hackbarth here giving congratulations to Danielle Gibson, who was nominated as a finalist for the NFCA Freshman of the Year, and happiness there. You know, they get along really well, and of course Danielle Gibson returning the love, saying "Love you, sissy," and everything seems happy. But G. Juarez has other plans, and she puts a kibosh on the good feelings there, saying, "Excuse me, only allowed one sister, and that's your twin," with the magnifying glass or monocle emoji. I'm not sure which one that is. But guys, G. Juarez on the case, making sure people don't say they have more siblings than they do.
Well, I feel like you guys can't really speak on behalf of this as only children, but yeah, I do have a brother, and I say I could have other siblings, right?
Yeah, you know, honestly, what this reminds me of is like back in the day when like Facebook families were all the rage, and you would add all of your friends as sisters and cousins and all that stuff, and you can never have too many of those. I think I myself had probably 20 family members. So, you know what?
I still have people who aren't my relatives listed as my relatives on Facebook to this day. Like friends from middle school who I don't even talk to anymore, but it's one of those things I've just never bothered to change.
It's just accepted as fact at this point.
Yeah, but G. Juarez, like I said, on the case about fake siblings. We're going to turn over now to ASU baseball. One of the standout players everyone knows, Spencer Torkelson, says when she says her roommate's gone, and you see him, looks like he's rounding the bases there. Now, I actually do have a nitpick with this tweet because this kind of suggests like he's running to whoever her is. But I don't think Torkelson does a lot of running. With all the home runs he's hitting, I think he kind of just gets to casually stroll around the base paths. So I think this is casually strolling to wherever she is.
And he doesn't have to run anywhere. This freshman sensation is something special. I think he's probably doing all right.
Absolutely. And if you think about the grand scheme of ASU campus, it's not really that big. Chances are you're really not going that far, so I don't think running is even necessary.
Does he live in the dorms?
Yeah, I was going to say Tempe is too big for me. Downtown is nice. We have 4 buildings, that's about it. But Tempe for me is a little too big. I'd have to run to get a lot of places there. But Spencer Torkelson not running, more like strolling
casual
to her room. Again, whoever her is. We've played Matchmaker before, but we can find him a partner. But last tweet we have here comes from Cronkite student Kaylin Jones. And Kaylin says, someone in Cronkite is rapping in one of the edit bays, follow your heart dog, but also shut up, it's 1 a.m. And there were a lot of good responses to this tweet that I enjoyed. One of them comes from a former anchor of this show, Zach Pockleb, who says, are you sure it wasn't just a dude blasting J. Cole's new album? Now, I don't know a lot about rap, but I know J. Cole's a hot topic. Then Cronkite professor Paula Bovin, sorry I had a long night. Now, my understanding is that like some people think J. Cole's bad, and that's like a Twitter thing. So maybe people would think Paula actually is a better rapper than J. Cole. And then a funny response to that is you see here, new addition to the Cronkite curriculum and interviews with, would you mind listening to my mixtape? So guys, I have one question for you. Since you're kind of interviewing me, would you mind listening to my mixtape?
I would love to. What do you think?
I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going to pass on that. But I will say there's so many levels to that tweet, so many reasons why that tweet was great. First of all, I'm sure that guy probably thought the edit bays were empty. Second of all, why was Kaylin in the edit bays? Third of all, I would love to listen to Paula Bovin's mixtape. Yeah. That woman can do it all. I trust in full the fact that she would have a fire mixtape. So Paula, if you're listening, maybe that's your next project.
I have good news for you, Andre, which is that I don't have a mixtape. I have no musical talent. So you're lucky. You don't have to. Neither of you have to suffer through that.
Here's my thought. Maybe it was actually Paula who was in that edit bay.
Maybe.
Why was she up anyway to respond to that?
That's a valid question, but we'll have to save those answers for another time. I will leave everyone with some mystery. But that's all for social media this week. Thanks a lot, guys.
Good work, Troy.
Thank you. Tiger Woods wears red on Sundays. Troy Tauscher wears it on Fridays in our social media segment. Troy, thank you. It's an exciting time right now for spring sports as we head towards the postseason. The same could be said for ASU women's water polo, coming off of a loss to Stanford on Sunday, and is embarking on the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation Championships. We take a look at the bracket. It all gets started next Friday in Berkeley. ASU is slotted as a 5 seed and gets their start against the 4 seed, which isn't determined yet. It'll either be UCLA or Stanford, depending on their matches this weekend. And if the Devils are able to get on, Saturday they would entertain USC, who's already defeated the Sun Devils twice this season. The first was a close 8-6 loss, and then on March 24th, the number 3 Trojans pulled away with a 12-6 win. Arizona State is just 1-4 in conference games this season. To end the weekend, Sunday will feature the MPSF championship game.
As always, this is the time for the show. You see Walter Cronkite's face right behind me. That means it's time for The Way It Is. You guys know the drill at this point. We're going to ask each other 3 questions, debate a little bit. Winner gets to go on a little bit of a rant. Let's get it going. So, Drew, I'll start us off. So ASU baseball is in the midst of another, let's say underwhelming season. Do you think Tracy Smith is on the hot seat?
I don't know if he actually is at this point, and the reason he may actually get to stick around is because he's had some pretty great recruiting classes, and if you look at the freshmen that have come in this year. However, Andre, I think he needs to be on the hot seat. I think it's going to be important for Ray Anderson to really hold him accountable.
Yeah, and I'm going to go a step further than that. I think he already is on the hot seat. Ray Anderson has shown that he is not a person that likes to hang around, just keep coaches for the sake of keeping coaches. He wants his guys and people that are going to buy into his philosophy. And if people don't align with that, then, well, we've shown that regardless of who you are, no one is safe.
All right, former Sun Devil Desiree Linden won the Boston Marathon over the weekend, and pretty incredible. But it got me thinking a little bit, Andre. If you were a runner, granted you're not, but if you were, would you rather win the Boston Marathon or an Olympic medal, any medal?
This might be a hot take, but I'm honestly going to say the Boston Marathon. Okay. I think just because of the prestige around that event on a much smaller scale than the Olympics. The Olympics are obviously very grand, but the Boston Marathon is a little bit more grounded, a little more local, and I think that kind of fits who I am as a person a little bit better.
Okay, that's fair, but I have to disagree with it. There's nothing better in sports than winning an Olympic medal. So without a doubt for me, it would be that. But maybe if I were actually a runner and all the history that goes on there, maybe it could be different.
That's definitely fair. I'm sure a lot of people will side with you over me on that debate. But for the final question, ASU has had 2 teams debut as Division I programs this season, tennis and lacrosse. Who's had the better season so far?
Yeah, this one's going to be pretty easy for me. I'm going to go ahead and just say it's the ASU men's tennis program. They've been pretty special, and they got to as high as number 13 in the country. To do that in your first season as a program, that's something special.
You know what? For the sake of debate, I'm going to take women's lacrosse, and here's why. On paper, they haven't had the best of seasons, only won 1 conference game, but they started off the season incredibly well. They had the National Player of the Week, 12 goals for her, and then on top of that, this team was competitive. They weren't really getting blown out of the water in the Pac-12, as we've seen. It's competitive across the board in all sports. So I think 1 win is relative. I think they've played well, just not quite there yet. Next season, I think that'll come.
You convinced me a little bit, but who knows? That could be what hurt you, and maybe you're not going to be able to win the way it is. We're going to go ahead and wait and see who is our winner. How you feeling, Andre?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a while for me. I think I've lost the last 2 shows I've been on, so I'm hoping.
And rarely do I lose, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
You got snubbed a little bit, maybe?
Maybe. Must have been that lacrosse take.
Possible. All right. In the last few months, Tempe has gotten a little taste of Herman Edwards. When he was hired in December, many were shocked, and frankly, in my opinion, it seemed not many were that hopeful. Now we've seen him through the entire spring season, and in my mind, the script has been flipped. Players who seemed to be upset about the loss of Todd Graham now appear to have bought into Edwards. He's stern, but keeps his players loose. He commands respect, but doesn't scream. In fact, he's even appeared to win over the media by allowing them to sit in for entire practices, not to mention his memorable quotes. Now, this is the easy part. There have been no official games played, and we will only begin to know if Ray Anderson made the right choice come August. However, Edwards, so far, has done everything right, and there's good reason to maybe, just maybe, hop on that crazy train. That's the way it is.
Top plays, here we go. We got a special edition, top 10. We're going to start it off here with a quick honorable mention. We mentioned it a couple minutes ago. Desiree Linden, first American to win the Boston Marathon in 33 years, Drew. That is impressive stuff from the former Sun Devil.
It is special. Now to number 10. We take you back to ASU football. Sun Devils taking on USC. Manny Wilkins in the pocket. You see him get crushed there, but launches it into the end zone. Kyle Williams, does he make the catch? Well, first they said no. Then, after review, yeah, it crossed the plane. It's a catch. But in the grand scheme of things, it didn't really mean much.
Yeah, not a good game for ASU football. Take it to the baseball diamond at number 9. Trevor Halver securing the victory over Long Beach State with that diving catch right there. You see everyone else on the diamond is fired up at that one, and why not take another look at it here. Full extension there from the left fielder to seal the victory over the Dirtbags.
We head to number 8, and it's ASU women's basketball at Wells Fargo Arena. That is Courtney Eck marks the spot. That's what we have to call her at this point. She hit 7 threes against Arkansas, which tied the record at Arizona State.
Twitterless Trey Holder up next at number 7. Dropped that 40-piece on Xavier. You know, this was when ASU basketball was riding high, 5-0 there at the time. Downhill from there, though.
Completely downhill. Number 6 to Farrington Stadium we go. It's Danielle Gibson, and we take you back to this series against the University of Washington, the #1 team in the country, and the Sun Devils gave them their only 2 losses of the year, and Danielle Gibson supplied all of the runs in that series for the Sun Devils.
You're going to have to stick around next week if you want to see plays 5 through 1. Braden Bell and Jack Harris will be behind the desk to bring those to you. But, Drew, it's been a great semester.
It is, and it's a wrap for us, but, man, we've had a great time.
Absolutely. You know, big thanks to our entire crew here in the studio, everyone out at practice getting the content for this. I think we really are going out on a high note with this one. Have a good night, everybody.